Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc contains topics and visuals that some viewers might find disturbing or upsetting. This includes, but is not limited to, graphic depictions of death, heavy violence, suicide, sexual themes, and psychological horror. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome back to all my fellow procrastinators to another episode of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. I'm Edge, the ultimate Gundam, here as always joined by...
APU Cyan, the ultimate fitness grand pacer test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test that progressively gets more difficult as it continues.
I think that about covers it.
Test will begin in 30 seconds.
The whole thing sounds exceptionally complicated.
I agree. Wow.
It certainly seems to me that these are not a simple series of connected events.
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
Okay, well, if that's true, then what?
Rather than a single series of events, I think we have to consider each murder a separate situation.
Multiple fitness gram tests.
And from there, we can uncover the contradictions surrounding all of them. Now then, let's get started, beginning with what happened to Taka.
The contradictions hidden in what happened to Taka. In order to uncover the truth of this case, I have to find them, no matter what. Make your argument.
So, regarding Taka's death, I wonder if he died before Hifumi, or perhaps it was after?
We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say that?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammers.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with Justice Hammer 3, while Taka's death came from a swing of Justice Hammer 4.
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So...
Regarding, I wonder if, or perhaps it was after. We already know what order they were killed in. Taka came last.
What makes you say?
Because of the numbering of the Justice Hammer.
It's true that Hifumi was killed with, while Taka's death came from a...
See? So it's obvious Taka came after.
So, regarding Taka's...
I wonder if he, or perhaps it was...
We already know what order they were killed in. No, that's wrong.
Okay, that feels weird to do, but alright. I'm like, what is this supposed to...
There's no reason to assume that the hammers were used in the same order as their numbers.
Yeah, I was going to say, that felt... I had to take a second because I'm like, what do I do here? Because nothing in this Monokuma file is going to contradict... Oh, right, I can record and copy things, people say. It's been a bit since I've had to do that.
I can't believe you forgot the actual, in-game function, in-game mechanic of going, no, you're wrong!
Shut. Not even that, no, it's using someone else's words against them is what I forgot about.
If anything, that's just another way the killer tried to disguise their actions.
So you're saying the culprit wanted us to think the hammers were used in order, but in reality, Taka was killed before Hifumi?
Yeah.
Okay then, let's see the proof.
Evidence that proves Taka was killed before Hifumi. There's something that relates to what time he must have died. Glad to see Hiro is still having a crisis in the back. Ah, Hangman's Gambit. I don't... What could it be?
What could this possibly be?
This is like the simplest Hangman's Gambit.
Now I
Out of
understand.
all of the versions I remember. I'm like, oh no, Hangman's Gambit, and then I'm like, oh, this shit's easy.
See? Look! It broke with the hands pointing just past 6 o'clock.
See, it was fixed at the time where we found him. You see,
It
the
must
picture we
have
showed
gotten
here, it's
broken when
fixed.
he was attacked by the killer. Because as of last night...
Watch it just be the batteries are dead. Just completely throw off the... it being broken, the reason it stopped then.
I really needed it to be like Taka's just, yeah, my watch has always been broken. I'm just really good at telling what time it is.
Hey, you! How long were you gonna keep us waiting? And how long are we gonna revisit this scene? Taka's irritated voice pierced the air as he stared pointedly at his wristwatch. It's almost 10 o'clock! You know that! Bedtime for all the little boys and girls!
So if it wasn't broken after 6 last night, then he must have been attacked around 6 this morning.
And that would be his official time of death.
If they show us that one scene in the hallway with Celeste again, I'm going to
But if that's
throw
true,
something.
then he was killed well before Hifumi.
Yes, that's the point that's being made, Sakura.
Like, come on.
And before Celeste was attacked this morning, which happened around 7.
That's right. Taka was killed before any of the other incidents took place.
That simple fact slipped past all of us.
Unfortunate.
We made the wrong assumption about the order of events, all because of those justice hammers.
That's exactly why the culprit wrote the numbers on each hammer and had them increase in size. That way, when we saw how they were used in each incident, we'd easily make that wrong assumption.
Now, if Taka was killed around 6, then everyone's alibis for his murder go out the window. Because when he was killed, we hadn't met up in the dining hall yet.
That may be true in the case of Taka's murder, but all of our alibis still hold true for Hifumi's death.
Yep.
That's right. With him, at least, we're all safe.
Huh?
They showed it again.
Not quite.
What was that?
That came from downstairs. It must have been Fumi. He's in the nurse's office. This is bad. Come on, we have to go back.
Well,
When we heard
Makoto, your
Hifumi
voice changed
screaming, we
suddenly.
were all together. Except for Hiro and Kyoko.
I mean, I'm around the same part.
Then we all ran down to the nurse's office, and that's where we found his body.
That's totally true. We're all in the clear.
Oh, I know! They must have recorded him screaming on a tape or something, then played it later on!
I mean, in normal circumstances, I wouldn't say that's inaccurate, but also with what recording equipment?
If that's true, where's the tape?
I don't know.
Thanks, Yasuhiro.
Don't just go making
Why
stuff
would he
up.
know?
Anyway, we all have rock-solid alibis for when we heard Hifumi scream. Since all of us were there together, clearly none of us could have killed him.
And it does not stop there. There was also the moment when we discovered his body had disappeared. When his body vanished from the nurse's office, Hina and I were in the bathroom together, while everyone else was in the equipment room, correct? And then there's the disappearance of Taka's body from the equipment room. At that time, we were all gathered together in the nurse's office because of Hifumi going missing.
Well, don't forget, I was passed out in the equipment room the whole time.
Wait, then what if Genocide Jill did it? She could have dragged Taka's body out of there right then!
Even if she could pull that off, there's no way she could have done the same with Hifumi's body. Because, as we just established, she was passed out in the equipment room when his body disappeared.
Besides, I didn't do either of them anyway.
In other words, it is impossible that any of us could have killed Hifumi or moved either of their bodies. On the other hand, Hiro and Kyoko had disappeared, so they most certainly could have done those things.
But we proved Hiro's, I guess, incompetence towards innocence, but...
So what now, Kyoko?
Excellent fucking question.
For now, we can't get fixated on who did it, or we'll just keep going around in circles. So instead of who, I propose we start talking about how. In particular, I think we need to figure out how Hifumi's body got moved.
That's true. We searched everywhere, but we couldn't figure out how to explain his body disappearing. And according to what Celeste said...
We could not have been gone for more than a minute or two, though. So then, the killer was able to get in and move Hifumi's body in that short amount of time? It would seem so.
His body apparently disappeared in the 1 minute her and Hina took their eyes off of it. But to carry that much weight from the first floor up to the third in that short amount of time?
I'm just sweating thinking of the amount of exertion I'd have to do.
Oh man, yeah! There's no way! It'd be impossible!
Well, what if I told you there was a way to make the impossible possible?
Introducing necromancy.
What? How?
If the dead
That might be a
body
plot point later
were
on.
to move itself.
I mean,
I need necromancy to be a real thing in Danganronpa, in like the later game or whatever. Nice echo.
The dead body moved on its own?
No! Not another... ghost!
I don't think it has anything to do with the occult. I think what she's implying is, we thought Hifumi was dead, but perhaps in reality he was still alive.
He was alive?
Are you saying Hifumi wasn't carried out of the nurse's office, but simply walked out on his own?
But I mean, we found his body. He was dead.
Perhaps he was simply playing dead.
That it isn't possible.
the idea that Hifumi was still alive, is it really possible? Make your argument.
Are you saying that when we first found Hifumi in the nurse's office, there's a chance he was actually still alive?
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead, without a doubt.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement of Hifumi's dead body had been found, and that is why the announcement was...
Are we real? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
No, I was trying to copy that one. Damn it. Only one was made.
Are you saying that when we first found him, there's a chance he was actually...
No, it is impossible. Hifumi was dead.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement, along with the rest of us. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
No way, that's not
And
right.
that is why the announcement was...
Are we real? Maybe the announcement was intended to signal someone else's discovery.
Thank you.
Are you saying that when we first... There's a chance he was actually still...
No, Hifumi was dead.
And you know that how?
Surely you heard the body discovery announcement. Hifumi's dead body had been found.
No! That's wrong! Alright.
Was the body discovery announcement that was made really intended for Hifumi?
Of course it was. The announcement played right after we discovered his body.
Maybe. But that was also the same time that Taka's body was found.
That's right. It wasn't long after finding his body that we heard the announcement.
So there's a good chance we've made a mistake in there somewhere.
Also, we heard it later, when we found the two of them again.
I think we've confused whether the announcement was for Hifumi or Taka.
First of all, if 2 bodies had been found, there really should have been 2 announcements.
Maybe Monokuma simply got lazy and rolled them together into one.
What do you say, Monokuma? Any comment?
Well, it's a very sensitive issue, so I can't go into too much detail. But what I can say about the body discovery announcement is that it's only broadcast when 3 or more people find a dead body for the first time.
That didn't answer our question, man. We're asking if you're a lazy bum.
No, actually, that was plenty.
Huh?
He said it's only broadcast when a body is discovered for the first time, which means even if we find the same body again later, he won't make the announcement again. If that's true, then why was the announcement made again later on?
Huh? Later on?
Exactly. We heard the body discovery announcement twice.
Second body discovery announcement. The first time it played was when we found each body in the nurse's office in the equipment room. And the second time, when both bodies were rediscovered.
I got it! We heard it a second time in the repository, when we rediscovered the two bodies.
Yeah. Ding dong, ding dong. A body has been discovered! After a certain amount of time, which you may use however you like, the class trial will begin! Ah, cracked.
It didn't seem weird at the time, but it contradicts what Monokuma just told us, doesn't it?
Exactly. If we were actually rediscovering both bodies, the announcement shouldn't have played.
Then in reality, when the two dead bodies were rediscovered, one of them was actually being discovered for the first time.
So, when we found Hifumi the first time in the nurse's office, he wasn't actually dead yet.
Nope.
Meaning, he wasn't actually found dead until we came upon him in the repository.
And that's just part of it. There's one other thing that leads me to believe he was still alive in the nurse's office.
Oh, I know! Because he was super good at playing dead! Bada bing, bada boom! That is the worst logic I have ever heard. But honestly, I do not think there's anything that can prove he was still alive.
Okay then, let's take another look at the events surrounding the discovery of his body.
Makoto, you do it. Again. What? Fine.
Then it should become clear whether he was really alive or not.
Are
This
they gonna
whole
bring
thing
up
is
the fact
pointless.
that he literally talked to them?
Well, like, that's still not a... I mean, it's not really as important to the case right now. It'll be later, but... Anyways,
I thought you were about to say that doesn't prove that he was alive or not.
I mean, technically speaking, it doesn't disprove that, like, he wasn't murdered, though.
Well, here's one thing we do know. The first time we found Hifumi's body was in the nurse's office. And then, while me and Celeste were in the bathroom, his body disappeared.
And the next time we saw his body, it was in the repository.
But when you compare his body before being moved and his body after being moved, other than the change in how it was positioned...
Oh, that wasn't it. Damn it.
Shoot!
Damn you, Celeste.
Well, here's one. The first time we found him, and then his body disappeared.
And the next time it was
confusing me with
in.
how it
But when you
moves.
compare his body before, other than the change in how it was positioned, there was no notable difference.
There it is.
No, that's wrong.
I jumped the gun. That's on me.
In fact, there was one clear difference between Hifumi in the nurse's office and the repository. His glasses. That fact alone proves that he was only playing dead in the beginning.
Perhaps you'd like to fill the rest of us in?
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, his glasses were covered with blood. But when we found him again later in the repository, they were spotless. And I found the item he used to wipe them clean in the nurse's office trash can.
The evidence I found in the trash can in the nurse's office was... Glasses cleaning cloth.
I got it! It was
Behold!
a glasses cleaning cloth featuring a certain cartoon mascot. One look at the bloodstain on the cloth should make things clear. This piece of cloth was used to wipe Hifumi's glasses clean. And the mascot on the cloth is the same one that's on the digital camera, right? And whose digital camera was it?
Mine! I mean...
Hifumi's, of course.
Shit!
Ah,
The character was Princess Higgles from Demon Angel Pretty Pudgy Princess, I think.
Why do you remember that so well?
I highly doubt anyone but Hifumi would have brought something like this to school.
I see your point. And the only people here who wear glasses are...
I wouldn't be caught dead using a tacky piece of garbage like that.
A few tissues is all I need to keep my glasses clean.
Then there's no question. It belonged to Hifumi.
So what you're saying is...
I don't know, but
What
Kodo,
exactly?
I think you're wrong about that.
What I'm saying is, the blood on his glasses was wiped away using his own glasses cleaning cloth.
No, don't worry. You don't get to... You don't get to say
No,
no,
but-
that's wrong to me
no, but-
until next game.
Nah, but Kodo, No, Makoto, that was actually my glasses cleaning cloth. I don't wear glasses. but
It's
I
for
do
my
use
glass
it to
ball.
It's for my eyeballs.
Even if
I
that is
just
true,
put it directly
it does not mean
on.
he wiped the blood off himself.
But who would benefit from a clean pair of glasses other than the glasses owner?
That's a good point.
And it
Archaeologist.
must have been him, right?
So let's assume that Hifumi was still alive in the nurse's office.
That feels a bit too early for archaeology, to be entirely honest, Cyan.
That's fair.
He pretends to be dead. Then when he's alone, he wipes his glasses clean so he can see. Then he stands up and walks out on his own 2 feet. And with that, the impossible task of moving his copious corpse becomes possible, wouldn't you say?
That's a way of putting it.
But then,
Copious
if he was just
corpse.
pretending to be dead, what was with all that blood? Was it paint or something?
The fridge in the nurse's office contains packs of blood for emergencies. He probably used one of those.
He figured if he was gonna play dead, he should go all out, so he just dumped it everywhere! But he got crazy with it and had to wipe his glasses off when he was done! God, what an idiot!
And if Hifumi was still alive at that point, the disappearance of Taka's body is easily explained. It should be perfectly obvious who must have moved Taka's corpse.
The one who moved Taka's body was Taka himself. He too was also not dead. No,
I
it's
got it!
silly.
It could only have been Hifumi.
And I'm back to full.
While we were all gathered in the nurse's office, he went to the equipment room and took Taka's body.
That also explains how the door to the repository got locked.
The door was locked? Well, after the bodies disappeared, we all went looking for them, right? So me and Sakura headed for the repository.
Makoto was there also as well? I don't know.
But when we got there, the door was locked.
And the repository door can only be locked from the inside. Which means when Hina and Sakura got to the repository, someone was already inside.
And it could only have been Hifumi, who just finished stashing Taka's body there.
He convinced us all he was dead, and when he saw his chance, he dragged Taka's body to the repository. So, Hifumi wasn't just another victim in this case. He was one of the assailants.
But that means he took part in the murders.
I just can't believe it.
If you're having trouble, would you like me to show you one more piece of evidence?
There's more?
Oh, absolutely. The single biggest fact pointing to his involvement has yet to be revealed. You know what I'm talking about, right, Makoto? The item he took off of Taka's lifeless body?
I mean, yeah, I just don't really want to touch it, to be honest. You can do that. The thing that Hifumi stole from Taka. Could it be the note
really
Hifumi
cool
had?
hole.
I got it! You're talking about the note Hifumi had hidden away, aren't you?
Hidden note?
That's right. We found it stuffed in his pants.
What? In his pants?
Yes, his pants.
Okay.
Okay, well, forget about the pants for now.
No.
Take a look at what the note says.
I found a hole maybe we can use to escape. Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the equipment room at 6 a.m.
Ah, that's the note I was telling you about. The one that told me where to go. Huh? Wait, this one's a little different. In my note it said, Monokuma can't find out, so don't tell anyone else for now. Let's meet in the rec room at 1 a.m.
I see. Then this note isn't the same one Hiro got.
It's not the same?
In other words, the killer got in touch with another person besides Hiro. And that person could only have been...
Hifumi's me. God, I love some of these options. Because it's so obviously wrong. But like...
I got it! That's right! Taka! The killer used this note to draw out Taka and murder him.
Probably just the wrong thing. Also, I don't know if these are, like, legitimate things we would have gone on higher logic difficulties, or they're just placeholders because it's so obviously wrong.
Hello? Over here! Objection! Objection! I don't really understand what's going on, but Hifumi had that letter, right? So whoever wrote it wasn't drawing out TikTok, they were drawing out Huffy!
Just to be clear, TikTok is Taka and Huffy is Hifumi, right?
Oh, yes! Why must you ruin it every time?
Man, Genocide Jack is seriously scary. But still, I can't let her get to me. Hey, there are some stuff.
It is time.
I was waiting for things to start getting difficult.
Huffy had the note, right? Then the person it was intended for must have been Huffy!
But remember what the note said. What time did it say to meet?
6 a.m., I believe.
The time doesn't matter! The note has nothing to do with TikTok!
Boop.
No, that's wrong.
Behold, a piece
No,
of evidence we've
there
already
absolutely
talked
is
about.
a connection.
What the hell are you talking about?
The note said to meet at 6 a.m., which is the same time Taka was murdered. We've already proven that using his wristwatch. But there's more. Look where the note says to meet. The equipment room, right?
Which is where Taka was killed. I see.
So, Taka was murdered at both the time and place written in the note. I think that should be plenty to show that this note was definitely meant for Taka.
Well, when you put it like that... No further objections!
Then someone used that note to trick Taka. Just the same as me.
Only this time someone got murdered because of it. I got put into a cool mech suit. That feels like a nice difference.
I was so ready to take on the mob after all that.
The culprit really is a cold-blooded monster. Telling people they found a way out.
But if they gave the note to Taka,
I mean,
what was Hifumi doing with it?
they did find a way out.
Stuffed down his pants, no less!
I mean, off this mortal coil, sure, but...
Most likely. Hifumi stole it off Taka's corpse after he died.
Huh? He stole it?
Where's your proof? Go ahead, show us.
Behold, the thing we took off of Taka's lifeless body.
I got it! When I searched Taka's body, I saw that his lifeless hand was gripping a small scrap of paper. If I'm right about this, the sheet of paper this piece came from is... I knew it! It fits perfectly with the note we found hidden on Hifumi.
Then Taka's scrap and Hifumi's note.
Yup, they're from the same piece of paper.
Hifumi had the note meant for Taka, while Taka's corpse still grasped a small piece of that note. There's only one way to explain it.
Taka died clutching the note. Hifumi tried to free the note from his death grip, leaving behind only one small scrap. Did I get all that right?
That means Hifumi knew the note was important.
Exactly. Which proves that he was an accomplice in the murder.
Whoa. Yeah. After seeing all this, Hifumi was super involved in this whole thing for sure.
Thanks, hero.
In fact, he was behind the whole thing. In fact, he's still alive.
Hero? Thank you. No.
Sorry, no.
Monokuma rips off his head. Just takes off his head. You were
When we
right!
found
It
him
is
in the repository,
Hifumi!
Hifumi was truly and completely dead.
I mean, except for like a minute or two, but that's besides the point.
The second body discovery announcement proves that.
You know, someone did.
So then, who killed Hifumi?
You did.
Whoever
Holding it.
did is the
Obviously.
mastermind, the true killer.
He was killed in the repository. So he must have been killed not long after transporting Taka's body.
So, he must have been killed after Taka's body vanished, but before we found both bodies in the repository.
During that time, we'd all split up and were searching for Taka's missing body. In other words, during that time, none of us have alibis.
Well, I mean, 2 of us do.
Wait, but me and Sakura were together. Stop trying to steal the spotlight, you stupid walrus! Who are you calling a walrus?
Anyway, when they were killed bothers me too. But there's something that's been bothering me even more.
And what might that be?
The weapon they used to kill Hifumi.
The weapon?
Yeah, because I mean, according to the Monokuma file, the way Taka and Hifumi were killed was almost the same, with them having similar fractures and all. But Justice Hammer 3 and 4 were still laying around in the nurse's office and equipment room, right? So if Hifumi was killed in the repository, the culprit would have had to grab one of the hammers, kill Hifumi, then put the hammer back where they found it. But wouldn't that be seriously risky for him?
I'm surprised. It seems there's some semblance of a brain knocking around that skull of yours after all.
I think that's the most coherent thought, like, Yasuhiro has given us yet. Like, legitimately.
Hell yeah, it's packed in there good and tight.
It could probably do with being a bit less tight, considering things.
Do you see my... Man, do you see my hair? That's actually my brain stem. The
He's
stem
right,
is going
though.
in the opposite direction.
I don't understand it either. The Monokuma file makes it clear that they were killed using similar instruments.
I'm actually the ultimate rat king. Have you seen what, like, a rat king looks like legitimately?
Wait, that's a real thing?
It's something along. It's basically when a bunch of rats get their, like, tails, like, tied together, and they just sort of turn. They don't turn into a hive mind fully.
What the hell is this?
Did you just look it up?
I looked up, yeah.
I'm not putting an image of that because it's disgusting. But, like, your own,
I hate that.
At your own trepidation, if you want to Google search it.
But if the hammers were already laying around those other rooms...
What the hell?
So the question is, how could the culprit have gotten their hands on either of the hammers? Personally, I haven't a clue.
So which hammer was used to attack Celeste? Number 1 or number 2?
Those were accounted for in other rooms too. And I don't think either one is big enough to kill someone.
Then,
Is it not possible they used a different weapon?
I don't think it is possible.
Justice Hammer
They were both
9.
killed with the same kind of thing, right?
So then,
mightiest
what
number.
was used to kill Hifumi?
The weapon that was actually used to kill Hifumi. The whole picture surrounding this case won't become clear until we figure that out. Somehow I have to find the truth. Make your argument.
Makoto.
Oh, okay, fine. Just give me the answer then, I guess.
Moist hammer.
What was used to kill Hifumi?
Yeah, just hit it,
Was
just
it
hit
Justice Hammer 3?
it. No, you had
Maybe
spotlight,
Justice Hammer 4?
Well, whatever it was, there's one thing we have to figure out. How was the culprit able to move around so freely with the weapon? How did nobody witness them carrying it?
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance!
Nope, that doesn't contradict it.
Shoot!
What was used? Was it just maybe Justice?
Well, there's one. How was the culprit? How did nobody...
Sounds like a Justice Hammer 5 is about to make its appearance! Check out murdergear.com/hammertime for more info!
No,
Well,
thank
one
you.
thing seems pretty clear. The murder weapon had to be one of the Justice Hammers.
No, that's wrong.
What?
Get on FBI watch list if I look that up.
The murder weapon wasn't a justice hammer at all. No, it was something completely different.
Behold, a hammer!
But, seriously? A different weapon?
It's totally different.
Specifically, a hammer from the repository. The killer could have easily used that to kill Hifumi. Now, all the hammers in the repository were covered in flecks of grit and debris. But for some reason, one of them had been scrubbed clean.
Makoto, why would you think it would be a hammer? when there were so many Justice Hammers already being used? Why would you think it'd be a regular old hammer?
I just explained
You know what
it
I
to
think is
you.
much more likely? Much more likely is, I think Hifumi slipped on Taka's blood and cracked his skull on the floor.
Huh?
Yeah, my thoughts exactly.
Yeah,
opposite.
I
And the
agree.
reason it had been scrubbed clean was most likely because it was used to commit murder. If the
Has a
hammer
murder-
got covered in
has a fresh
Hifumi's
murder
blood,
smell on it.
of course they'd have to clean it off. I'd also like to point out that the repository has all kinds of hammers. Big ones, small ones, and even some flat mallet-like ones. I think whoever made the Justice Hammers used those as a basis for their design.
If that's true, that would explain the Monokuma file's note about the wounds being similar.
So Hifumi moved Taka's body to the repository, where someone then used a hammer to kill him.
And whoever did that is the true killer. The one Hifumi was working with. And the one who betrayed him. Hold on a moment. I still think it's strange to assume someone was working together with him. The way the graduation rule works, there is no benefit to helping someone else carry out a murder. So the idea that anyone would work together like that is simply ludicrous. We talked about this, did we not?
We did talk about how there wouldn't be any reason to anyone to work together. At least that's what we thought at first, but... Okay, I'm probably using someone else's words against him this time.
Based on the rules that have been laid out for us, even if more than one person is complicit in the murder, only the one who actually carried out the act can graduate and survive. Assuming the rule holds true, it is simply impossible that two people work together on this.
That is how the rule was explained to us.
But that only really applies if there's one murder, right? In this case, however, there were two murders.
There we go. Can we really say there's no chance two people blah 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 blah?
Based on the rules that have been, even if more than one person, only the one who actually carried out the act, assuming the rule holds true.
It is...
No.
No, that's
Shut
wrong.
up.
Since there were two murders, it's at least plausible that more than one person was involved.
What do you mean?
If there'd only been one murder, then yes, the idea of an accomplice isn't really worth considering. Naturally, if only one person can be saved per murder, an accomplice has no risk versus reward benefit.
Risk versus reward benefit?
I'm dumb. Explain this to me.
The payoff for working together. The reward that balances out the risk of taking part in a scheme. There's no point in being someone's accomplice if there's no benefit to you. However, if there were some potential mutual reward for the risk, then cooperation becomes possible.
You're saying that two people could act as each other's accomplices to commit two separate murders.
I think that's what the true killer told Hifumi. They would each have an accomplice for their crime. And based on the case's events, Hifumi would have been the first one to act, murdering Taka.
I see.
They made him carry out the first murder so he couldn't back out of helping them later on.
So in this case, there wasn't one single person committing multiple murders. Instead, each person killed someone, creating two separate incidents. And it only looked like one person because that's how the true killer designed it to look. A single suspicious individual, a similar weapon used in each crime, disappearing bodies. By creating one seamless set of circumstances, they made it look like one person was behind it all.
Damn.
The mastermind picked their target and managed to convince him to go along with their plan. And then, to avoid the no accomplices rule, they simply killed their accomplice. Which, if true, means that betraying Hifumi was part of the plan from the very beginning.
That's just awful! How could anyone be so cruel?
You think so? I can't help but admire its cunning. Still, their choice of accomplice seems odd.
As a friendly reminder, I'm an asshole. We've been over this.
Ah,
I don't know how I've lived this long, to be entirely honest. The effort made to convince us the two murders were the same. That was the main characteristic this time. Kyoko must have noticed that fact from the very beginning, which is why she said not to look at this as a series of connected events, but entirely separate incidents. Kyoko really is amazing, although, when you think about it, she's almost too amazing. Like, it's almost a natural how good she is at this.
I understand how an accomplice could be involved, but then who was the one pulling Hifumi's strings?
That's problem numero uno right now.
The true killer manipulating Hifumi to carry out a number of actions and in the end murdered him. And then based up till now, the way the case is unfolded, when you consider all that, there's really only one person who seems to... Wow! I mean, I know who it is. Just from things in general.
I know who it is. But do you know who it is? From context.
Yeah, like... To be
It's
entirely
Chihiro,
honest.
I knew it!
To be entirely honest.
Here's my answer.
You have been the only one being, like,
It was
super
Celeste.
confrontational the entire time over this.
So
Yeah.
I'm the suspicious individual now, am I? I really do hate this kind of joke.
A joke? I wonder.
So what you are saying, then, is that I specifically chose to work together with Hifumi. The idea that I would choose to spend any amount of time interacting with him, that I would go within 10 feet of that shit for brains, that lazy, worthless, goddamn idiot! Pardonnez-moi.
Just to be clear, there is evidence to support it.
Is that so?
It is. Throughout the investigation, there was certain behavior that was common only to the two of you. Considering what we've learned so far, it only further proves that the two of you were working together.
Hey.
The screaming!
The paper hidden in Hifumi's pants.
Hifumi's pants screaming!
Countering the suspicious
I got it!
individual.
The behavior they had in common has to do with the suspicious individual in the suit, doesn't it? The only ones who ever actually saw Robo-Justice firsthand were Celeste and Hifumi.
Shush, the adults are talking now.
Sorry.
Don't cave like that, Makoto.
As he said, only Celeste and Hifumi ever laid eyes on the costumed individual. If we accept that Hifumi was one of the culprits, we can't help but suspect what Celeste has said as well.
Are you saying everything they told us was a lie?
After taking Hifumi to the nurse's office, we all began our search for this individual, correct? And not too long after that, do you remember what Celeste said?
Hey, you ready for it to happen a couple more times?
Here we go!
I saw a shadow suddenly move to the top of the stairs. Not this one.
We headed to the second floor specifically because of what she claimed to have seen. Next, to draw us all to the physics lab up on the third floor,
She let out a blood-curdling scream.
We go.
and when we'd all come to see what was wrong, what was it she said?
Celeste, what's wrong?
That was a rather intense scream for someone like you. I saw him.
There we go.
The strange costumed man. He ran off as soon as I screamed. I was walking the stairs, so we headed further down into the hallway and disappeared.
Once she'd done her job of getting us all up to the physics lab, it was time for her partner to get to work.
Huh?
What was that?
That came from downstairs. It must have been... Hifumi! He's in the nurse's office! This is bad. Come on, we have to go back!
It was to get us to divide into two groups. So that we would discover both bodies at the same time?
In fact, Celeste was precisely the one who proposed that we split up.
Then why don't we split into two groups? I'll lead the hunting party. That seems much more interesting. Very well then, Makoto and Hina, you come with me to the nurse's office. I believe the capture of the suspicious individual to Toko, Byakuya, and Sakura.
Well, if Celeste and Hifumi were working together, all those chance events suddenly become connected. And on top of that, that piercing cry of yours early on. That was to signal Hifumi, wasn't it? It was your way of telling him, we're on the 3rd floor, everything's going according to plan. Why else would you let out a scream that could have carried across the sea?
I just realized another strange thing.
But wait, there's more.
When we found Hifumi in the nurse's office, who we now know was only pretending to be dead.
I certainly was not expecting this. I did not imagine that Hifumi would be murdered.
Celeste, you were the first one to say he'd been murdered. You wanted to make sure we wouldn't have any doubt in our minds.
I don't believe it. Everything. The whole thing was one big act.
Hina, you were with Celeste when Hifumi's body disappeared, right?
Yeah. I was feeling kinda sick, so Celeste took me to the bathroom.
Wait, then that was...
She wasn't worried about you. She just saw a chance to help Hifumi sneak out of the nurse's office.
Each piece isn't much by itself, but start putting them together and the picture gets very ugly indeed. Wouldn't you agree, Celeste?
I have no idea what you mean.
She lied as naturally as she breathed.
Don't bother trying to deny it. You made one fatal mistake.
You decided to step up to Byakuya Togami.
Oh, did I?
I didn't even catch it myself when you first said it, but looking back, I can say that that one little slip-up was your undoing.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about what you said after Hifumi's body disappeared and we returned to the nurse's office.
They must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around frightened and confused. We're all going to die here. We're going to die, just like those guys died.
Oh!
I remember her saying that too, but I don't understand what's so strange about it.
Didn't go with them to see Taka's
Yep.
body.
Then pay attention. Sakura, Toko, and I were first to discover Taka's body in the equipment room. Then Makoto showed up and told us Hifumi had been killed. So Sakura and I left with Makoto. Once we were in the hall, we ran into Celeste, and the four of us headed to the nurse's office. Now, the entire time we were together, none of us said anything about Taka being dead. Think about it. Celeste's comment doesn't make sense. It was completely out of place.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about. Although I don't really get what it means.
You hear that, Celeste? Everyone's having some trouble understanding. Could you repeat what you said? If you're really not the culprit, you shouldn't have any problem repeating it, right?
Byakuya said that Celeste's comment doesn't make sense, but what is he alluding to?
Oh my god!
How am I this
Makoto!
dumb? Yeah, it's another using words against other people. There's a lot of that in this trial, damn.
All I said was... They must really be enjoying this. Enjoying the sight of us standing around, frightened and confused. They must be positively elated. We are all going to die here. We are going to die, just like those guys died. And that is all I said.
And that's all it takes to finish this. It's obvious, isn't it, what was so strange about Celeste's comment?
All I said was, they must really enjoy
copy
the
so
sight of us.
strange?
Stand, they must be. We are all going to die here. We are going to die. Just like.
Yup.
No, that's wrong.
Now, she could have been referring to everyone who has died so far.
That's right. There's no reason Celeste should have said, just like those guys died. When she said that, none of us had told her Taka was dead.
Okay.
Exactly. And we didn't run into her until after we were all out in the hall.
It's a good thing this makeup is very, very waterproof right now, because I imagine Celeste is probably about ready to start sweating buckets.
So there was never any chance for her to have seen his body in the equipment room for herself.
So how did you know, Celeste? How did you know more than one person had been killed? And how did you know they were both guys? Because Kyoko had also disappeared, right? So she could have been dead too.
God,
Imagine
like
how
in
this
the context, guys is enough. It feels enough gender
Yeah,
neutral,
imagine. Yeah, imagine this game was written now. Like, what would they do?
Yeah.
You all have such vivid imaginations. You know that?
Imaginations.
You claim that I was lying when I told you about the suspicious person I saw. Then what about the picture I took? How do you explain this picture of the costumed villain dragging Hifumi away?
It has to be some kind of setup, right?
I mean, yeah.
So let's put the suit on, and then she used the camera's timer to set up the picture.
Have you so quickly forgotten? You are the only one who could have possibly fit into that suit. Plus, I happen to know that this particular camera does not have a timer. In other words,
Why do you know
it
that?
is an unassailable fact that this is a picture of Hifumi being dragged away. If everything I told you was a lie, how can this picture exist?
Because she tried using it to take a time photo and it just wouldn't, I guess?
Simple. Are we sure that's really a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away?
Perspective, ladies
What
and
could you
gentlemen.
possibly mean by that?
Surely there are other explanations than the one you've offered up.
No, there is no other explanation.
No, that's wrong. Other explanations. It wasn't a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. The only other the Hifumi is the suspect Yeah, I think whatever logic difficulty we set it to is real low right now.
I like it how it is, though.
Honestly, it's
Not
hilarious.
a picture of the suspect dragging Hifumi away. I would say it's a picture of Hifumi dragging the suspect away.
That's certainly within the realm of possibility. The one being dragged off in that picture isn't Hifumi, but the person in the robot suit. We've simply been led to believe that it's the other way around. And the strange costume might only exist to lead us astray even farther. If you saw someone wearing something like that in this situation, of course you'd notice and be suspicious.
That's what happened! You put me to sleep and made me out to be the bad guy in all this!
Such a thing is utterly impossible. Hifumi was dragging him away? Ridiculous.
Is it? I don't think it's ridiculous at all.
Then shut your mouth and allow me to educate you.
Celeste thinks she can prove there's no way Hifumi was dragging the suspect away? But is that really possible? Make your argument.
Here we go.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out! Then you just draped me across Hifumi and had him carry my weight! You tried to make me look like the bad guy!
Like I said, ridiculous. As you can see in the picture, the suspect is standing perfectly upright. If the person inside the suit was unconscious, there's no way they could stand up straight like that.
About that. What?
It's not the blueprints.
It's the suit. It's the suit.
You dressed me up in that suit after I passed out!
Then you just draped me up. You tried to make me look.
Like I said, as you can see in the picture, if the person inside, there's no way they could stand.
No, that's wrong.
No. Even if the person inside the suit were unconscious, they could still stand up like that, because that Robo-Justice suit had a certain characteristic.
You couldn't bend at the waist.
You totally can't bend at the waist. Seems like a pretty obvious oversight.
That's right! They totally made a mistake when they made it, so it couldn't bend at the waist.
I'm not so sure that was a mistake. I think the suit was designed from the beginning to be used the way it was.
Gotcha.
Celeste and Hifumi took the suit they'd specially designed and stuffed Hiro into it. That's how they were able to fake that whole thing. The point of it all was to make us believe whoever was in the suit was to blame.
Well then, I suppose this is checkmate.
Checkmate? Celeste?
And the other foot, other shoe is dropped.
Clearly, you want to cram me into your little guilty box. Well, there's one little problem. Have you already forgotten what Hifumi told us as he lay dying?
Hey, Hifumi, who was it? Who attacked you? Who tried to kill you? Who killed me? That's right. I remember their name. Joe Mama. Bleh.
Joe Mama! What? Got him.
Megama balls. Bleh. Hero.
When we asked him who had attacked him, his answer was quite clear, was it not? He said, and I quote, Yasuhiro. In other words, Yasuhiro Hagakure!
Wait, but my name isn't really Yasuhiro. It's actually Taro.
Your confusing statements don't make any sense. You're only making things more complicated.
Thanks,
Danganronpa
Yasuhiro.
Bob,
He
what do you
did say
expect?
Yasuhiro. But are we sure he was really pointing the finger at Hiro?
What the hell are you talking about? I'll burn you alive!
Kyoko, what do you mean by that?
Think back to how Hifumi used to talk to us. How did he refer to each of us?
Said for serious a lot. It was weird. Said people's last names.
I got it! That's right! Our last names! He called us all by our last names!
Exactly. I know I heard him say Mr. Naegi more than once, for example. So if Hifumi did mean to say Hiro's name, he would have said his last name, Hagakure.
I'm sure it was just incidental. By chance, his first name. Indecent?
Don't talk.
Random chance. Now isn't that a convenient explanation? No. There's no reason to think he would have said the name any different than normal. But he must have run out of energy before he could say any more.
So Hifumi was trying to tell us the last name of whoever killed him?
But the name he said doesn't apply to anyone here.
Well, no. Hold on. There's one person it could apply to, and that's Celeste. She never actually told us what her real name is.
Makoto!
What did you just say?
I'm sorry,
Makoto,
Celeste. We
no,
need to
you-
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Celeste. Unfortunately, to win this trial, we have to dead name you.
You can't do
To
that.
think
Not,
you take
not
your
in this
false
economy.
accusation so far, I don't know whether to laugh or spit. Come on! Enough with your idiotic blather. Yasuhiro is a loser's name. Do I look like a loser to you?
I mean, right now, yeah.
Well,
Yes.
do I? What? I think I've earned the right to be a little on edge.
Okay, then fill us in. What's your real name?
Fine. Make sure your ear holes are wide open and listen up! My real name is Celestia Ludenberg. Could you please stop making me repeat myself over and over again?
Celeste still won't give up. So then, I have to do something to make her accept it. Behold, my smoking gun.
Hifumi was trying to tell us something. He wanted us to know the killer's last name, Yasuhiro.
If there's one person here who might have that last name,
It would have to be you, Celeste. You haven't told anyone what your real name is.
how many times do I have to tell you? My name is Celestia Ludenberg, god damn it!
No, hey, they flipped the font.
How long do you plan to go on pretending?
I'm not pretending. It's the truth. And since you have no way to contradict me,
Bullshit, guess what,
Blast
buddy?
it.
No, that's wrong. That's it. The handbook.
what?
Anytime you turn your handbook on, It shows the owner's name when it boots up, right? Monokuma told us all about it before.
This handbook is absolutely vital to a healthy school life, so don't lose it. When you start it up, it will display your name. Always make sure you have the right one. Now, this is not your everyday notebook. It has so many more uses than that.
So all we have to do is check her handbook, and that'll clear up everything.
And that's why Kyoko said the handbooks don't have a they are not. Oh. Well.
Controller.
You know what? I think that's a good place to...
No, it's not.
We're at time, though.
We're finishing this chapter. No, we're finishing this chapter right now.
We could be at this for... There's at least another 20 minutes here. We're at time. We might as well.
Seriously?
Yeah. Thank you all so much for watching this episode. Wow. I am so sorry. Thank you all so much for watching. We will see you all in the next episode. Johnny.
See y'all next week.
Danganronpa.